Hey everybody, before this podcast episode starts, I just wanted to quickly pop in and tell you that I do have a YouTube channel for this podcast. On that YouTube channel, you can find subtitles in English and Spanish. That's something new that I've been wanting to try this season, and I wanted to do that just to increase accessibility. And I do only have Spanish right now because I'm knowledgeable of the basics of Spanish, and I just want to make sure that the translations are correct. So, yeah, head over to my YouTube channel if you want subtitles in English or Spanish. All right, let's get into the episode. Hello, guys, gals, and non binary pals. Welcome back to the Bandana Podcast. I wanted to talk about something that I realized not a lot of people know about, and that would be the world of preventive medicine. You guys, rightfully so, may not think of preventive medicine as something that you know a lot about, but I promise you that as soon as I start listing and explaining different examples, you'll realize that you know more about preventive medicine than you thought. You guys all know me as the public health person in your life. Now, because I am studying public health, I learn about preventive medicine quite frequently in my classes. To give you a simple definition of preventive medicine, it's basically just a scope of the medical field that focuses specifically on preventing sickness and illness that is preventable. Some examples would be providing condoms and comprehensive sex education to reduce STI rates and providing vaccinations for other preventable diseases, things like that. As I said earlier, there are so many problems in the US and in the world that can be reduced or even completely gotten rid of simply by focusing on preventive medicine. I'm about to give a hot take that I think a lot of people will disagree with. Maybe they'll end up agreeing with me by the end of this podcast episode, but I'm going to present it anyways because I think it needs to be said and nobody ever looks at the world this way. So I think a lot of the hot topics in today's political climate here in the US at least can be reduced by preventive medicine. And what I mean by that is if we're talking universal healthcare or abortion restrictions, they can be reduced by preventive medicine. Like, if people are so ardently against abortions and universal healthcare, just encourage preventive medicine. Prevent abortions by providing sex ed and free condoms for those, especially for those that can't access them easily. And same with universal healthcare. If you don't want the government to be spending so much money out of your taxes on healthcare for others, encourage preventive medicine so not as people are getting sick and are in need of healthcare. Again, especially those that don't have easy access to it. As we have seen many times over, preventive medicine is more cost-effective than drastic measures such as a huge investment in universal health care, because what that does is it prevents illness and sickness, and putting that money and time and effort towards preventive measures, it means that you won't have to be putting in a greater amount of time and money and effort into treating sickness. As a matter of fact, I learned that there are 3 levels of prevention, and they are primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, let me give you a rundown of what those terms mean. So, primary prevention is just basic, widespread prevention methods, such as providing free food, welfare, condoms, things like that just target a general audience and the general public. Unlike primary prevention, I'm sorry, by the way, my dad is currently doing the lawn outside, so if you hear a lawnmower, that's what the noise is. So, back to what I was saying. Unlike primary prevention methods, secondary prevention is geared more towards populations that are known to be more vulnerable to certain sickness or ailments. Such an example is women having breast cancer, and the way that you prevent breast cancer is by doing self exams, having your breasts checked at well woman exams, and mammograms. All three of these prevention methods help to just catch the disease as early as possible, and that's really the main goal of secondary prevention. It's trying to catch whatever condition it may be as early as possible and to minimize the effects of treatment and of the disease itself. Now let's go into tertiary. Tertiary is unfortunately you've been diagnosed with something and it's just the prognosis of treatment. So in tertiary prevention, you're trying to reduce the effects of the disease and reduce pain that the disease may cause. And such examples of tertiary are chemotherapy for cancer, insulin for diabetes, things like that. I know what you're probably thinking. When you hear these examples of the tertiary prevention methods, you're probably thinking, well, isn't that just regular medicine at that point? It's not really a prevention method. Here's what I have to say to that. Medicine and the medical field have a basis in public health and prevention. As a matter of fact, for one of my projects this semester, I had to do an interview with a public health professional, and I interviewed someone that actually works in Houston, and they were telling me that the basis of the medical field is public health, and you can't have medicine without the basics. Now that I'm recording this episode, I'm realizing that a lot of this episode is just hot takes. So, yeah. Again, it's like a TED Talk. I'm just spreading ideas and I'm introducing to you a new way to think about medicine and how we can prevent illness. And of course, I do think that universal healthcare would be beneficial, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt to focus more on preventive medicine. Okay, I think that's enough hot takes from me for now. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but I'm just laughing at me just giving hot takes in a podcast episode. I know I've presented hot takes before, but I don't think I've ever had an episode that was solely hot takes. But, I mean, it's public health, and again, I'm just hoping that I'm spreading ideas to you. With that being said, I will see you next time, and I hope you learned something.